Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Bernhard joins us. He's Vice President of Economic Development at UNLV, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot hardware store and a whole lot more. It's your spring headquarters with lawn and garden supplies, power equipment, and outdoor living. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. Big R, hardware and a whole lot more.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Ahern Hotel in Las Vegas. I am always delighted to have my friend Bernhard on the program. He is Vice President of Economic Development for UNLV. How are you?
I'm good, and this is my favorite thing to do too. I just feel like this is such a natural, free-flowing conversation, which just doesn't get to happen in the media world these days. So thank you for having me back.
Always my pleasure, and I absolutely loved the picture you posted on Facebook of you and your dad.
Imagine,
the
right?
Golden Knights. The two biggest sports fans.
Yeah, imagine my dad, and this is true.
Who is
across
a
the
gaming legend, Peter Bernhard.
And as he would say, a Las Vegas kid, right, that grew up chasing lizards in a huge desert in a tiny town. And imagine what's going through the minds of those folks, right? It's like when the Red Sox won after all those years and you see these 89-year-old men bawling, right? People like my dad who grew up in a very different Las Vegas and get to experience sort of the pinnacle moment that is the Stanley Cup championship happening, which nobody in a million years dreamed of.
Right.
It's pretty special.
We weren't at the game. We were at the Bootlegger Bistro, driving on the 15 when everybody was coming out, and to see all the signage of every property, including Allegiant Stadium, all cheering on. Yeah, it was amazing.
Everybody's a fan, right? And that's what communities do, right? Is unite around common interests and fun.
I think it was the second thing that made Las Vegas the community it is today. The first was the Smith Center, where suddenly you had all these amazing shows going on that weren't on the Strip. Yeah. And then the Golden Knights.
We had a guest speaker over at Blackfire Innovation, where I get to work on the UNLV campus, and we have, of course, a Casino of the Future there, and it was a major gaming executive that had just gotten back from 5 years in Macau, which happens all the time in the gaming world. And he said, I have this Rip Van Winkle moment where I come back and 5 years later, Las Vegas is a sports town. And I come back 5 years later, and Las Vegas is an arts town. And I come back 5 years later, and UNLV is a powerhouse. It's a university town. And I thought, oh gosh, I love that that's also part of, hopefully, what are new pillars of a new city here in Las Vegas.
It's amazing because there's nowhere else like it in the world. Yeah. I mean, you have people who are trying, like Dubai. You're seeing, the United Arab Emirates, trying to get away from oil, so they're creating these incredible buildings, but they don't have that synergy yet.
You know what's interesting, and this probably happened, and urban sociologists have probably written about it, where like Detroit became really good at manufacturing stuff, cars, right? And then other cities copied it, right? Pittsburgh, steel, other cities said, oh, that's been working out really well. When you look at Dubai now, when you look at Saudi Arabia, and what they are trying to build, not trying to, they are building. When you look at Hainan Island off of the coast of China, which is the Hawaii of China, but in many ways they're trying to make it the Las Vegas of China, the same thing is happening with Las Vegas. The globe's worth of countries and cities are saying, hey, that actually seems to be working out. The future of the economy seems to be bending in that direction. Let's try to do that. Let's try to be like that. And it's just kind of crazy that it's Las Vegas that they're mimicking and not the skyscrapers of Chicago or New York or what have you.
But the beauty of it is that wherever they do it, all those people in that place say, but the place we want to go to is Las Vegas.
This happened in Singapore. When Singapore opened in the early 2000s, they opened 2 mega casinos that could have been ripped off of out of the streets of the Las Vegas Strip and brought over there and just dropped there. And what Asia tourists to that locale thought of when they looked at, say, the Marina Bay Sands is, hey, there's a cool billboard for Las Vegas. I want to go to Las Vegas now, where they have like dozens of these, right? And so I think that's been underappreciated, is the degree to which the exportation of the Las Vegas product. Again, Detroit made cars, we make big shiny buildings. And each of those shiny buildings become, in effect, billboards for a tourism capital of the planet, right?
I'll go back even further. Atlantic City.
Yeah.
There was fear in Nevada that Atlantic City would destroy Las Vegas.
Remember that? Yeah.
Everybody went to Atlantic City and said, now we got to go to Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, remember, again, everybody said, gosh, why would anybody from the East Coast come to Las Vegas now that they've opened this Atlantic City place? My goodness, we're going to lose out. No, it exposed more people to the product, that is Las Vegas, right? It grew the market, not shrunk the market. It happened with tribal gaming too. People thought, oh gosh, as tribal gaming goes into every backyard, my word, we're going to be in a situation where Las Vegas is going to be in a world of hurt. And quite the opposite, right? And part of that is an undersupply of the product, right? It would be one thing if we were talking about candy bars or Coca-Cola, which everybody has access to. But for so long, the kind of Las Vegas product has been undersupplied in the economics sense. And the demand is vastly outstripping supply. And so, at some point it will be true, right? The market will have been saturated, and at some point there will be something new opening, and it will be something that hurts Las Vegas. We just haven't seen it yet.
I don't think so. I think that every 5 years, like you were saying at the beginning, that something else will come along because Las Vegas continues to just reinvent itself. Okay, so I see a photo of you out at Nellis.
Yeah.
And you're there with Keith Whitfield, your president.
Great president.
Who I owe him an invitation to come on the program.
You love him.
I met him. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
And you're out there. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing there with the Thunderbirds, and how is that going to play into Blackfire?
So this is fun. So first off, Keith Whitfield is an Air Force brat, has lived all over the world. And so he's enamored with this opportunity to go to Nellis and get the full behind-the-scenes tour by the chief commanding officer there. And so we got to do that, and he was like a kid again. He was having deja vu moments because he grew up in and around bases with the loud noises, right? And these amazing aircraft. And of course, I grew up here, so for me, Nellis is like this great showcase Air Force base. I remember when UNLV won the national championship in basketball, they had the patch of the brand new stealth bomber on the uniform, right? Because we were so proud of this engineering marvel whose home was Nellis Air Force Base. What's really fun for us to talk about, leadership to leadership, our president with the head of Nellis Air Force Base, is that UNLV has 2,000 acres right next door. UNLV's main campus is about 300 acres. So it gives you a sense of scale and scope. So as UNLV grows, as everything else in Las Vegas grows at a wildfire pace, think about the opportunities for land that is now adjacent to the 215 freeway. Used to be that we thought of that land out there as kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It was given to us in a Lands Act bill more than a decade ago. Now it's kind of in the heart of town, and the fun part for us is to say, okay, we have obviously massive strengths and intellectual capital at this place called Nellis Air Force Base. We have massive strengths and intellectual capital at this place called UNLV. How do we get to play together in this sandbox? What does this look like? And it's funny because it's old red flag exercise space. So again, it used to be out in the middle of nowhere. So we have to clean up the bullets and bombs first, which gives us some planning time, but just in time as we grow like crazy, just like the city itself is. And it gives us a real opportunity to think together with other leaders in the valley on, okay, now what do we do with this campus that is a canvas that is 2,000 acres in a way that helps facilitate Las Vegas's growth, and not just growth in the traditional population sense, right? Growth in again, the sort of community sense and intellectual capital sense out there on those 2,000 acres.
And how did the military respond?
Oh, they loved it. They loved it. I mean, first off, Nellis, like UNLV, is a city, right? And it's a city that can be self-contained when it's not at its best, at its most flourishing. And what's really refreshing is to hear leadership at Nellis alongside leadership of UNLV saying, you know, there are times where our facilities are awesome but feel like they have kind of invisible walls around them. That is no longer. That is not the case with this. Let's look at ways that we can engage the community. So Nellis is saying, oh my gosh, the opportunity to work with UNLV on a 2,000-acre project. And when you think about it, the ways that Nellis has been just a pillar of this community, what it also means is research funding. What it also means is federal research funding.
Potential huge military funding.
Amounts of money. And among many other things that we're close to 50th or 50th at in the state of Nevada is the amount of money that we get back from DC relative to the amount of money we send to DC. We've always been low on that metric. The opportunity to get more federal grants, federal research grants, federal research and development grants in a way that leverages the brilliance of Nellis Air Force Base and the growing brilliance of a place called UNLV on Maryland Parkway. What a fun moment.
Well, and the other part of it is that you wouldn't necessarily have to have the matching funds, which has always been the bugbear. I used to talk to Senator Reed about that, and he would say, we don't put up the matching funds. That's why we don't get more money from the feds. Right, I'm going to take this a step further in terms of aviation right after this timeout.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Remember 2010 in northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, slashed bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Bernhard. He is the Vice President of Economic Development at UNLV. All right, so we were talking about Nellis. My favorite topic on the show here for the last few weeks, as my listeners and viewers all know, has been the Ivanpah Airport.
Yes.
And so at the legislature, finally the town with no name was created, which is 5,000 acres. They actually have about 6,500 acres. The price tag in 2019, according to Jim Gibson on this program a week and a half ago, was $12 billion. So that's non-inflation pricing. And I'm thinking Blackfire, brand new airport, what is the potential?
So one of the areas of potential is we have an outstanding transportation research center on campus, because this is a place that's gotten really good at transporting 40 plus million folks to Las Vegas from all over the planet and back home safely again, and then within the community. And so, of course, one of the things that we want to empower is our world-class transportation research center housed at the College of Engineering, which, by the way, is doubling in physical size with a brand new building we're throwing up there. So it's part of the broader maturation process of Las Vegas in general and UNLV in particular. So as we grow up as a city, as we grow up as a campus, as we grow up into a city with 2 airports, right? How do you solve those problems? Well, that's what universities flourish at, right? Is, oh my gosh, we've got a problem here. And we like to say, look, we don't have necessarily the answers, but we know the methodology. We know how to study this kind of stuff and arrive at answers in an expert way that you can trust. That's why you love having a powerhouse research university in your backyard.
Well, one of the things that it just struck me was that, at this point in time, it's the perfect point in time. This is going to take years. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. You have the opportunity as UNLV to be able to be part of the creative process.
Yeah.
Have there been any discussions so far? Because, I mean, it's almost like there's been a giant secret cover put over, the airport, and it's a secondary airport and all these kind of things. It's not just a second. It's going to be the airport.
Yes, it's going to be the airport. So yes, we are next door neighbors, of course, with the airport, and everything that we do, and dating back to the founding of UNLV, has had to think about things like, okay, how will this affect the airport, right? Can we build a building here? Turns out we can't because it's under the flight path, right? So those conversations are ongoing and very friendly, very collaborative, in a way that dates back decades. Now, of course, as we think about the transition to a 2-airport town, well, more than that, of course, as we just finished discussing Nellis and the other outlets on the aviation space. This, once more, is what universities thrive at, is working with, hopefully, the various leaders within your community at the tough questions of the day.
And surrounding the airport, because that's the $12 billion just for the airport in those 2019 dollars. By the way, interesting statistic that Ray Hager came up with was, I had been saying that I thought this would be the biggest public works program since Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam originally cost $750 million in today's money. This is $12 billion in today's money. That is an unbelievable gap.
Well, yeah, projects obviously are getting massively more complex, involve massively more sort of moving pieces, as airports are no longer just airports, right? They're also retail spaces. They're also a lot of different things, and so.
Well, let's list it off. You've got housing, you've got services, you've got gas stations, you've got hotels.
Yeah.
You've got a plan for all of that.
Yeah, you have mini cities, right, in the form of airports. And once more, we were just talking about our trip to Nellis Air Force Base this week. That is a tour where you really realize just how massively complex these types of things are. We spent half a day with just the fire department that's housed at Nellis, and looking at the innovations that go on in planes on fire stuff, right? And how do you put that fire out, right? Turns out UNLV is working on a couple of different fire retardant science projects that are being put to good use in these environments. And so once more, that's hopefully the ecosystemic approach that the university plays a part in contributing to.
All right, let's take another break. Back with Bernhard after this timeout.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RAN.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project. adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Bernhard. He is Vice President of Economic Development at UNLV. So one of the big things of the legislature was establishing this movie studio deal. My understanding is, and it's just an understanding, that potentially this bill will come back perhaps for a special session, but not for several months. And they're trying to include Northern Nevada in this as well. Share what you can from your perspective at Blackfire.
Sure. So we were delighted to be approached by one of the major groups that is interested in creating a Hollywood 2.0 at Blackfire Innovation, at our tech and innovation campus out in the southwest part of the valley. And of course, those renderings have been released. They're easily searchable to your audience here, and they're stunning. And fine arts is one of those fields at UNLV that's about to take off. We saw this with what was once our brand new law school and now is elite at a national level. We're seeing this now with our engineering program, which is physically doubling in size and is about to unleash tons more engineers into the world, led by a world-class faculty. Fine arts is next in a lot of ways. It's another one of those areas where there's almost a quiet expertise in Las Vegas. Think of all the brilliant trumpet players that play on the Strip, right? Think of all the ways in which there have been so many smart folks working in and around these fields. And fine arts and the opportunity in particular to build up a world-class film school, which we already have a very, very strong film school, but the opportunity to work directly on this kind of content, right? And we are in a content era where the thirst for content seems to be unquenchable, right? And for UNLV to be a place like the University of Southern California with a world-class film school and an opportunity to work with your backyard and real-world experience while you're getting sort of book learning in classrooms, that is the university of the future. We've seen that already, obviously, with our hotel school. That is really the secret to our hotel school's success. I'm on the faculty there. I've always said we could be the worst faculty in the world as long as we keep this. You have to work for 1,000 hours in the area that we churn you out into thing. It almost doesn't matter how we are, right? That element of it is kind of a uniquely Las Vegas, at least in the hospitality education world, thing. And we're going to see that with film next, should this move forward.
And from an economic diversification point of view, that would be huge.
It is sort of a degree of economic diversification away from our core industry, right? Because
more
there's
so
a lot
than
of
almost anything else.
Yeah, and yet there's still overlap. It's not like remember the Faraday moment, right, where we hoped that this car, company and industry would take off, and we didn't really have a ton of engineering firms that knew how to do that stuff. We didn't have a ton of law firms that knew legally how to support that. But with the Raiders, for example, there were a ton of law firms that knew all about entertainment law. There was a workforce that was brilliant at producing an event day that's unparalleled in the world. There were all these experts who had sort of overlapping expertise, and so the diversification into the NFL, into sports, has been an easier one than a total leap into a totally new field. Films like that, right? Because we have a ton of really smart folks in our workforce, in our backyard, who can support it today. And with the help of UNLV, they can support it tomorrow as well.
We're going to continue to see development and in the growth of the town of Las Vegas and Clark County in general, pretty much all the way down the 15, aren't we?
Down the 15 both directions, right? Not just, we talked about on the way to California, on the way to Apex. So, as the former GoEd director Michael Brown put it, we've lost major opportunities for new job creating behemoths because Apex isn't yet there, right, as sort of a different kind of economic engine. But as that develops, we're going to spill out towards Utah and we're going to spill out towards California.
The issue, as I look at it, from Apex being so involved with the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, at TRI, they had one person who had the money to put up all the infrastructure and draw people in. Here you have something like 32 owners that have to agree on things.
True.
And really the state has had to do so much in terms of the infrastructure, and it's still getting there.
Still getting there. Once more, that was a part of an attempt at securing some of the infrastructure dollars from Washington, D.C. That grant wasn't successful. But even our grant writing, grant seeking capacity in Southern Nevada is growing up, just as everything else in Las Vegas is. We were talking earlier about how much the arts scene has grown up with the Smith Center and that ecosystem. We're getting better and better and better at things that cities like St. Louis and New York and Chicago have long been good at, which is teams of grant writers who are really good at speaking DC talk as it pertains to, okay, we've got your federal tax dollars here. We're now going to have a competition for it in the form of what's called a NOFO, a Notice of Grant Opportunity. And you're in a situation where Las Vegas is now, because we are seeing collaborations between those 32 owners and Clark County and the state and the university submitting these together.
Downtown Reno has a similar situation, and it would be nice if all those owners would get together and agree on something, but that hasn't happened yet.
Tough to herd those cats.
Yes, indeed. I love having you on the program. Thank you so much for taking out the time. I know how crazy busy you are.
Yeah,
appreciate it, man.
Me. No, I appreciate it. It's always fun.
And we'll be right back.
Thanks.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com. Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Ahern Hotel in Las Vegas. We'll see you on the next broadcast.